Good morning. I'd like to call the November 20th, 2024 meeting of the County Facilities Committee to order. We're going to start this morning with approval of the minutes of the last meeting. Moved by Mr. Conover, second by Mr. Strahl. Any questions or comments? Now I'll call the question. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Privilege of the floor and public comment. Is there anyone online or elsewhere? Hiding in the corner, Doctor? Hi. Oh, thank you. Now we'll proceed with the airport agenda here and requesters that want to apply for a grant. Authorizing the chairman of the board of supervisors to submit and execute grant application to the New York State Department of Transportation for the replacement of the 8-bay T-hanger door, an automatic bifold doors project, design and construction, acquisition of a snow broom.
I'll pass around pictures here of our existing T-hanger. You can take a look and pass it down. I think most of you remember that a year or two ago, we had some freezing issues. I'm sure the doc here had voices of pain on the accordion style doors and the issues we're having. With this grant, it's actually a two-parter. So the first part, we're going to apply to replace the 8-bay T-hangers with automatic bifolds. And the pictures you have going around, the jump ahead a little bit, actually shows you our construction update for our additional T-hanger project. So we're planning to replace those accordion style doors with automatic bifold doors that we are currently under construction for our T-hangers. The second part of this project, apologies, the expected cost is $727,400. The second part of this project is the acquisition of a new snow broom. We originally had 2 snow brooms, but we had to sell one back in 2022, 2023, I believe, and we brought it down to 1. So we're looking to replace that snow broom with this grant under the same application process. We're expecting that to cost $890,000. So both projects be combined under the same grant. We may be successful and have both projects, but most likely we'll end up with one project, with the priority being the replacement of the T-hanger doors with automatic bifold doors.
Very good. Got it. Have a motion regarding this. Mr. Thomas, second Mr. Strahl. Discussion, any questions, comments from anyone? So the cost of this is borne by the grant.
90%, correct. 90% state funded, 10%.
95. Okay, thank you. No other questions. I'll call a question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Thank you. Move on to request number 2, amend the budget. Amend the 2024 budget with surplus balloon festival funds. Cover overtime costs associated with the balloon festival.
I'll take that real quick. So exactly what it says is to amend the budget to use the surplus balloon festival funds to cover basically salary, overtime costs, retirement, Social Security, and Medicaid contributions. This is supplementing what we're also getting from our tax to pay for the rest of the overtime.
Very good. Have a motion? Mr. Strahl, second by Mr. Thomas. Any discussion? Any questions or comments? Not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any abstain, projections, etc.? No. Very good, thank you. Discussion items.
I'll take the first one, solar farm construction update. That project is proceeding swimmingly well. They started, as you can see, we're making great progress on trenches and building equipment pads. There was one issue on Friday when they discovered a conduit running between our 2 obstruction towers. Jeff Monroe's DPW was able to come out yesterday and mark out that conduit, and it did not impact construction whatsoever. So that's great news. And beyond that, there's no current pickup to the project. That's my knowledge.
Eddie, go ahead.
Robin, what did the conduit serve?
2 obstruction light towers outside the fence.
Are they working on both sites simultaneously?
They are.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any questions? Very good. If not, we'll move down.
T hangar construction update and getting back to the pictures. The project is coming along really well. We are still expected to complete early in February, hopefully. We anticipate to finish the roof next week and then start interior fire rated wall installation and complete the hangar doors also next week. So we are doing incredibly well on that hangar construction project. Next year, we'll start construction for the demolition and reconstruction of the old T hangar projects. So we are currently expanding our inventory at the airport as it relates to T hangars.
Who's the contractor?
The second one has not been confirmed, but this one is no, I'm looking at it. That's not you.
Yes, Hatfield.
Thank you. That's not you. That's Spring Electric.
Thank you. Anyone else? The last item here on discussion items is a possible 2026 air
Yes.
show decision to be announced in December.
In December at the ICAS, we unfortunately will not be attending, but our representative from the air show network will be there. I am very hopeful that we have positive news, but it'll be confirmed at that show, that event in Las Vegas in December. So we shall know if we have a 2026 air show next month.
And that will be the same air show that we've discussed
Yes.
previously.
Yes.
Good. What do you think the prospects are?
Very good, hopefully. I'm more confident this time than I was last time.
Yeah,
Oh,
well, that's good.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
very good. Thank you. Referrals or pending items. Again, privilege of the floor, public comment, anyone? Yes,
Just reinforce that the current accordion hangar doors are a problem.
okay. Good.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for that. We need that. Okay. That's it for the airport.
That's it.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a great day.
Now, we're going to, before we proceed with buildings and grounds, Nina Mastriani is here. Thank you. And yesterday, we discussed, she discussed briefly the use of building
Number
11
11.
on Gurney Lane. And she's here this morning to present a little more detail, I guess.
Good morning, everyone. So the Department of Social Services has a couple of oversight agencies. The Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance is one of them. And in 2020, OTDA mandated that districts develop a comprehensive homeless services plan and report data every 2 years. The purpose of the plan is to coordinate services in our continuum of care. So that includes the Department of Social Services and our community partners to effectively reduce homelessness. Our county is facing an increasing number of families struggling with homelessness. Many of you may be already aware of homeless concerns we have in our county. Factors like rising housing costs, limited affordable housing, domestic violence, mental health issues, and substance abuse all contribute to this crisis. Our district primarily relies on motels for temporary housing, which really do not offer a suitable environment for families. So our community is experiencing an increasing need for a family shelter that can provide comprehensive wraparound services to meet these needs. Through discussions with community partners, my fellow department heads, the Office of Temporary Disability Assistance, we're gathering information at this point to repurpose the building just discussed for use as a family shelter. While we work out the details of the initiative, I would really like to share some information, but mostly to extend an invitation for you all to meet with me so I can help answer questions or any concerns that you might have. Here's some stats on this. Yeah, thank you so much. So the data shared is the number of families that have been placed in temp housing in a current stat of what we currently have placed right now. And if you look at that, it includes 32 children that are currently placed in motels. These families fall under the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families program, which is considered TANF, which this falls under federal reimbursement as well as access to various other funding opportunities. But mostly the establishment of a family shelter offers several vital benefits. So we would be looking at creating a safe and stable environment, a dedicated shelter that ensures families have a secure place to stay, which is essential for their well-being. Ensuring access to resources, families will have access to medical and preventive care, mental health services, substance use support, which are all crucial for maintaining health. And providing educational and supportive programming. So a family shelter can offer resources that promote education and skill development, empowering families to improve their circumstances, and mostly comprehensive case management services. So tailored support to address their unique challenges and needs, and really supporting a pathway to healthy recovery. I look forward to discussing this proposal further. And if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
But I'll start. As discussed yesterday, this facility, if we move forward, would be suitable for 3 families.
I'm not sure on the exact number. We plan on having the state take a tour. We really don't want to do too much construction on site, but we're hoping for 3 to 4 families.
Right.
Once we have the state come, there's very specific regulations regarding shelter requirements
Yeah.
that are overseen by the state, and they'll be able to give us a better idea.
And fortunately for some, but unfortunately, I mean, this data here is countywide, right?
Mhm.
So in the county, according to this, there are 16 families in temporary housing.
Right now.
And
Yep.
this would provide for a fraction of those, and good for them, but
Right.
unfortunately, for the rest, they would remain in hotels, motels, or
Right.
whatever.
Well, so with this data, I'd also like to note that we're seeing families are staying longer in temporary housing than before. So at minimum, we're averaging about 6 months a family in a motel placement. So if we could really provide supportive services, the goal would be to be shorter stays in temp housing and hopefully get people into that shelter. I'd like to start small, and then eventually, if we can expand on the program, we can certainly explore that through additional grants.
Sure, and your caseworkers work with the families to try to make them or get them to be self-sufficient, if you will,
Right.
and move on,
Right.
which is great. Anyone else? Yes.
Yeah, so this graph is family THA.
Yes, temporary housing assistance.
Okay, thanks. And it says 38 right now?
That's for that time period of October 1st to September 30th of 24.
That's
Total
here.
families served.
So 38 this year,
Sure.
Yes.
and we could only accommodate 3.
Well, depending on how much grant funding we can get and what we're applying for and what we have with the building, we could potentially serve more. It just depends on what we're able to apply for and what the county and you all are supportive of.
Yeah, because if we got 38 families and we can only accommodate 3, that's the larger problem isn't being solved.
Right.
Yeah, well, let me interject. As you say here, currently, there are 16
16,
families,
right.
not 38. They've served 30.
That's served, right. As of 11/18/24, we currently have 16 families in temporary
Oh, I'm
housing.
looking at this.
Yes.
Right, that's.
So the numbers on the chart are your intakes and discharges in terms of who the department served during that time period.
Wow.
Which 16 is 16 too many, but what do you do? Yes,
Anita, correct me if I'm wrong, John, just to go what you said, she said 3 to 4 families. We could conceivably in the beginning have 4. It depends on square footage. As I know, there's guidelines to how much square footage that you can have a person to or individuals to a room. So
Right.
that's the bottom line when it comes down to.
You know, again, this is all preliminary discussions. We'll be working with finding a provider that will actually be the shelter provider. It would just be a county-owned building. And then we would work with the state in terms of the funding, because there are several grants that we can apply for. And some of them are for the construction and rehabilitation of a building. And they could say, you know, if you want to expand this to offer more services for families, we could look to do that. It's just really at this point, figuring out, getting all the players to the table, getting the information and seeing what direction we want to move forward in.
Excellent. Supervisor Thomas.
You say shelter provider, is that like a non-for-profit or? private?
Yes. Yep.
Would each, would they like share a kitchen or a bathroom? Cause that building's not that big.
That's one of the things we would be discussing. So when we work with the state, shelters for adults and shelters for families have different regulations. So I'm really going to rely on our state partners that have the expertise in that area to tell us what we're able to do, what we can accommodate, and how we might be able to change that. And the providers that provide shelter services really see the day-to-day of what serves the families best. So
Right.
working with them to see how that would work.
Excellent. Anyone else? If not, Nina, thank you. Great work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Look forward to hearing back from you again soon.
Great. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a
Good luck.
great day.
Next on the agenda, buildings and grounds. Again, privilege of the floor. Anyone anywhere? If not, we'll move down to action items, action agenda, new business items. Request miscellaneous. Ratify the action. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just gonna jump in real quick. And Chairman Bruno, I just wanted, that first one we're nixing, we're not going to keep that on there. That was done at the board meeting on Friday from the floor, I believe. So that one, I had put it on my agenda
Yes.
well before we were taking this to the board, so
You're
that
right.
first resolution request on there is no longer is being asked for.
Yep.
So we can move down into the next one, which is the new contract, and this would be based on last committee meeting, facilities committee meeting, we had Nextamp in here. They provided us with a presentation regarding community solar and the savings that the county would receive over a year period, and of course, the contract would be over a 20-year period. It was well over $1.6 million. It was on an average of about $80,000 a year. I did send, or had Amanda send out the presentation to all the board members, not just the facilities committee, but the entire board. I didn't receive any questions or comments back. And I thought that I would bring it to committee as to enter into that contract for that cost savings, and then maybe bring up any discussions stuff moving forward.
Any questions or comments? I guess first we'll start with a motion. Anyone? Supervisor Thomas, second. Supervisor Stroud. Now, discussion.
Steve, what if any is potential downside of this contract?
I'm gonna say I don't necessarily see a downside, except that we're gonna enter into this contract for 20 years. But over those 20 years, you're gonna get a 10.5% savings on our electricity usage over those next 20 years. Excuse me?
Sorry, no upfront costs?
No, there is no cost to us whatsoever. And that was part of that presentation that was done. That's
And the benefit from it, and the benefit moves with the what happens with energy?
correct.
Are the Nexamp the only one offering this? In other words, is this?
I can let John talk to it, but it's a community solar program. There's many solar companies that do offer this. We could certainly put this out for an RFP to see if we could get something cheaper, but this is kind of a sole source, and I think John has talked with Julie about it. It is a sole source because they're leasing on our property already. So we're doing this program with a company who's currently leasing on our property.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. One of the, we got this, they made this presentation through our contract with Mega. to help us with our utility cost. Everyone else who's done this, in particular, Lake George Village has done it. They've seen a $60,000 benefit in the first year. And it probably makes sense to go with NextAmp because they're on our property and we can implement pretty quickly. Their position is they would like us to commit, no, not pressuring us, but at least telling us that if we're not going to commit, then they're going to open it up for community solar contracts writ large. And we might lose out on the ability to do that if we don't. So.
Yeah, they will certainly, what will end up taking place is we'll certainly lose out on that 10.5% that they're giving us now. It doesn't mean that the county couldn't still jump on board, but we wouldn't be their anchor, I guess I want to say their anchor client. So we may see 6% or 7%. And to go back to the village and the town, I did speak with Dan Bruce. They've actually had a contract with NextAmp for the last 5 years. They've achieved a savings over 5 years of about $60,000, but they had not had larger users on that contract that they've added this year, which would have been the water treatment plant, I believe the highway garage. They're now expecting to see $60,000 a year from here on out, but they've been with the program already in community solar up there with NextAmp for 5 years.
Any other comments, questions? I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, abstained? Thank you. Discussion items.
I'll take the first few there. Work order request program is at 5,501 done and completed. Fleet car request is catching up rapidly, is now at 4,057 completed since the inception.
Thank you. The court project update phase 4.
Phase 4 is complete. They, other than a few punch list items that are going to be done by our crew at Buildings and Grounds, the construction was completed with the final 5 electrical panels replaced over there. So now it's just our completed punch list items.
Good. And how did the budget look for that, for this project?
That we should get final numbers on that probably at the end of this month as to where we stand.
You think it was under?
I think we are gonna.
We are under on that project. It was, as you all recall, that was a $16.5 million project. And I think I reported last month, and this isn't even with the punch work items, we're in the vicinity of about $200,000.
Yep.
That we are under that total of the $16.5 million that we had for that project.
Very good. Boardroom update.
Boardroom update. A week from yesterday, we will receive bids on the boardroom. We have already received the commodity kind of purchases, so we can actually go out and get them now, which is the furniture and such, with the passing of the board resolution to use the ARPA money. So we can start, and I believe today they're probably issuing the POs for the furniture, and then we will see what comes in with the remainder of the bids come next Tuesday. And then the roof and chimney project update is the bids we will receive on that.
Before we go on there, back up to the boardroom, can you give me a brief overview of what's included there?
So the boardroom's it's gonna be a complete makeover in the boardroom. It will include replacing carpet. It will include running some new electrical lines within the concrete floor to tie into the new desk system that we'll have in there. There will be a replacement or upgrade to the speaker system, microphone system within there. There may or may not be. We had some replacement ceiling tiles. Those are acoustic tiles to kind of direct that sound in through there. We were looking at another system to put in there. I think we did it as an add-on bid to this project just to see what that cost would come in, because we don't want to exceed the cost of what we had projected for the project already.
We had talked about creating that center area.
There is the committee room will now move to the boardroom, and there will be a center table within the committee or within the boardroom now, similar to this, matching the rest of the furniture that will be in there for the committee. So we'll no longer have committee rooms in here, or no more committee meetings in here. And I believe maybe some window treatments and lights and replacement lights.
Great, thank you.
Have we seen a layout of this?
I can send it out after this meeting. It's It's similar to what you have in there already, except you're not gonna have metal desk. It's a U-shape type of scenario with the desk in the center. It's gonna spread it out a little bit. We've added some new seating around the outside. But pretty much the room as it stands now will be the same. It won't change that much. And there'll be some millwork done on the back wall behind the dais as well.
We're gonna donate those desks to a museum or anything?
I'm gonna offer them up to all municipalities to have whenever they wanna come and take them.
First come, first served.
Yeah,
Historical.
okay, thank you.
They'll go in the basement, really.
The roof and chimney.
So roof and chimney update, we have the specs, basically what that will be is it's out to bid, that we will receive bids on that December 4th. That is to take down the existing chimney that is no longer in use. They did the asbestos testing with our contractor and nothing was found in the area, so they will take the current chimney down to about a foot from the existing roof level, and then they will put a new membrane over the top of it, and that'll seal it off. And then the next part of that will be repair the office down here at the corner that's had a leak in it, which is coming through that chimney area.
Any questions, comments? If not, we'll move down to referrals and pending items.
As I talked about, and we just talked about with the money left over for the design entrance updates, I know we have touched on the first step will be, or the first portion of this will be, the first phase will be the steps out front. As well as what more we can get with that $200,000. As you're all aware, we did the plan with Obella that kind of pieced all the way around the county center, some of the upgrades that we could do. Certainly, we're gonna do that all at one shot with the money that's left over. I think we'll get, with the $200,000, we'll get as much as we can at the front entrance, but I will certainly probably come back next year or to see if we can get some grant money to do some of the other upgrades that Labella had provided us, or concept plans that Labella had provided us. So that's where we're at, though. We won't do any of this, I don't think, going into this winter. I think we'll get the bids out, get a package together for next spring, and then next spring we'll start tackling the work.
Good. Any questions or comments? If not, I'll move down to magnetometer DMV.
I'll turn that over to Scott. I think we're just waiting on to sheriff's grant funding to cover that
That's
cost.
exactly what we're waiting on. We should hear in December. I believe it's purchased and going to be installed in January with everything going correctly.
And what does that look like? In other words, what's that magnetometer? I know we talked about a couple different.
Yep, it's the one that's actually Evolve, I believe, is the manufacturer, and it's 2 pillars that stand up with a mat that goes underneath, and it scans a person within less than a third of a second.
Oh.
And can basically get any metal from a 3-inch switchblade all the way up. So there shouldn't be any hesitation or anything from a person. You can scan them right as they walk through.
And it doesn't take as much room as the.
Nope,
No.
nope, it's movable, and it's literally a 6-foot tower on each side.
Oh.
And it scans them, similar to what you'd see if you went to Six Flags.
Yep.
Or any one of the parks like that.
Excellent.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? Privilege of the floor. Yes, Supervisor E2.
Morning, everybody. This month I met with Nina one-on-one, and I also met with Rob York and Linda Wright. I met with Amber and Andrea at Ascend. Jason at the White House, not the White House, and Jamie at the Open Door, and every one of them were strong advocates of a family shelter here in Warren County. The closest one, I believe, is in Schenectady, 61 miles away.
Good, thank you for that.
Thank you.
I can't imagine anyone not being supportive. A great thing. Unfortunately, as I said, it only serves a limited number of families, but that's better than none at all. Anyone else? If not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Supervisor Strauss, second by Supervisor Conover. All in favor?
Aye.